It all began with a simple but surprising request, a letter sent to the White House from 28-year-old Navy Captain Emma Caldwell, one of the youngest in the Navy's history, asking to meet with President Donald Trump. Typically, such requests came from high-ranking generals or admirals, not someone so young, but Emma's note was brief and powerful. "Mr. President, I have something important to discuss, not for my sake, but for those who serve in silence." When the letter reached Trump's desk, he was intrigued. He had met many military leaders, but rarely someone like her, and he decided, let's hear what she has to say. Within hours, the meeting was arranged, and while the public didn't know it yet, what was about to unfold would spark a national conversation far beyond the walls of the White House. For Emma, this wasn't just a meeting, it was a mission. As she stepped off the military jet in Washington, D.C., she could feel the attention. News had leaked about her meeting the president, and speculation spread like wildfire. Was she being honored? Had she uncovered a scandal? Social media lit up with theories. Some called her an inspiration, saying, "That's the leadership we need," while others doubted her intentions, dismissing her as a possible PR move for the White House. Emma ignored the noise. She had faced doubt her entire life, from the moment she joined the Navy at 18, became an officer at 22, and took command at just 26. Now, at 28, she wasn't there to prove herself but to speak for those who carried burdens far heavier than medals. As she approached the White House gates, she took a deep breath. This wasn't about politics, it was about truth, and she was ready to speak it. The moment she stepped into the Oval Office, the weight of history surrounded her. The room felt both powerful and oddly welcoming, filled with portraits of past presidents and the scent of polished wood. President Trump stood by his desk, hands in his pockets, eyeing her with curiosity. "Captain Caldwell," he said, "I've met generals and admirals, but a 28-year-old captain, that's something you don't see every day." Emma stood at attention and replied, "Mr. President, thank you for meeting with me." He motioned for her to sit. "Your letter got my attention. You said this isn't for you, but for those who serve in silence. Tell me what that means." Without flinching, Emma answered, "It means behind every mission and every medal, there's a hidden cost. Leadership isn't just about victories, it's surviving the failures." Trump leaned in, clearly engaged. "Go on." Emma steadied her voice, though her heart raced. "Mr. President, people love to celebrate leadership, the promotions, the speeches, the wins. But no one talks about the nights leaders can't sleep, replaying the decisions that cost lives." Trump's face grew serious. He had heard from many service members, but few spoke like this. "You're talking about sacrifice." Emma nodded. "Not just any sacrifice, the kind that never leaves you. The kind that haunts you." Trump nodded and asked, "Tell me, what's the hardest sacrifice you've made?" Emma clenched her fists. This was the moment she had been building toward. 3 years ago, I made a call in the field. It was supposed to be a routine mission, but everything went wrong. My best friend, Lieutenant Jake Carter, trusted my decision, and he died because of it. The room went still. After a pause, Trump said softly, "And you still carry it." "Every day," Emma admitted. "Because leadership isn't about always making the right choices, it's about living with the wrong ones." Trump steadied her, nodding slowly. "I understand that." Emma wasn't sure he truly did until his voice shifted, more reflective than she expected. "You know, when you're president, every decision touches millions. Some people cheer, others hate you. You aim to do the right thing, but no matter what, someone ends up paying the price," he said, shaking his head. "And sometimes, you never really know if you made the right call." Emma hadn't expected this kind of honesty. "Then why do it?" she asked. Trump gave a faint smile. "Same reason you do, Captain. Because if you don't, someone else will, and you'd rather carry that weight yourself than let someone else bear it." Emma exhaled slowly. Maybe, just maybe, he did understand. Her voice softened. "I remember the last thing Jake said before our mission. He smiled and told me, 'If this goes south, don't you dare carry me like a ghost.' But that's exactly what I've done." Trump folded his hands and looked at her steadily. "You were his leader. That weight never really leaves." But tell me, what would he say if he saw you here right now? Emma blinked. The thought had never crossed her mind. He'd probably roll his eyes and say, "Why are you wasting time talking to the president when you could be out there making a difference?" Trump chuckled. "Sounds like a good man." "He was," she nodded. "And that's why I'm here. Because leadership isn't about rank or power, it's about speaking up for the ones who can't." Trump leaned forward. "Then let's make sure they hear you." Emma frowned. "What do you mean?" "You came here with something to say," he replied. "Now I want you to say it to the nation." Outside the White House, the media buzzed with speculation. Was she being promoted, launching a political move? Headlines screamed, "Who is Captain Emma Caldwell?" But Emma ignored the noise. This wasn't about attention, it was about truth. When Trump offered her a national platform, she hesitated. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. He shrugged. "You said you speak for those who serve in silence. Here's your shot." That night, alone in her hotel room, she remembered Jake's last words, "If you ever get the chance to speak up for those who can't, do it." She grabbed her phone and texted the White House liaison, "Tell the president I'll do it." The next morning, she adjusted her uniform in front of the mirror. It wasn't a battlefield, but it sure felt like one. At the White House, Trump greeted her. "Nervous?" "A little," she admitted. "Good," he smiled. "That means it matters." "What exactly do you want me to say?" she asked. He leaned against the podium. "Say what you told me. Let America hear what sacrifice really looks like." She hesitated. "People will judge me. Some will say I haven't earned the right to speak for others." Trump's face grew serious. "Captain, people will talk no matter what. The question is, do you let them define you, or do you define yourself?" That was all she needed. Emma squared her shoulders. "Let's do this." In a packed press room, cameras clicked, reporters whispered, and the nation held its breath. Emma stepped to the podium, crisp uniform, steady eyes, and finally, her voice found the room. She wasn't a politician, and she wasn't a celebrity, she was just a soldier. As Emma stepped up to the podium, she took a steadying breath and began, "America loves its heroes. We celebrate those who return home with medals, but we rarely talk about the ones who don't, or the ones who do but leave pieces of themselves behind." The room fell silent. She pressed on, "I wear this uniform with pride, but leadership isn't about rank, it's about responsibility. 3 years ago, I made a decision that cost a man his life. And every day since, I've carried that weight. Because real leadership means standing tall, even when it hurts." Across the nation, her words rippled through living rooms, hearts, and headlines. Social media lit up with praise. Finally, someone's telling the truth. One post read, "I lost my brother in combat. This speech means everything to me." Even veterans, often silent, found their voices. A retired Marine tweeted simply, "She gets it." Still, not all reactions were kind. Critics dismissed her as a political pawn. "What does a 28-year-old know about sacrifice?" scoffed one anchor. Emma ignored them. She hadn't spoken for applause, she'd spoken for Jake. That night, a letter arrived from a Vietnam vet. "For years, we fought in silence. We buried our brothers without a voice. Thank you for reminding America what we sacrificed for." Emma folded it carefully, reading it twice. Maybe she was making a difference. As pundits debated, is Captain Caldwell a hero or overstepping, Emma remained focused. Her mission was simple: ensure no soldier ever feels alone again. Trump called her that evening. "Well, Captain, you've got the whole country talking." Emma exhaled, "I didn't mean to cause controversy." Trump chuckled. "The truth always does. But controversy isn't the enemy, silence is." The word stuck. Days later, another letter came, this time from 98-year-old Navy veteran Margaret Reynolds. It began simply, "Captain Caldwell." Emma was 23 when she read the letter from Margaret Reynolds, a 98-year-old World War II veteran. Back then, women didn't have a voice in the military. We just did our job and hoped history wouldn't forget us. You stood up and spoke for all of us who never had the chance, and for that, I thank you." Emma swallowed hard. Jake had told her to speak for those who couldn't, and now it was clear she had. The next day, Trump held a press conference where reporters grilled him. Was Captain Caldwell's speech a political move? Trump smirked. "Nope. She's not a politician. She's a soldier. And she told the truth. If that makes people uncomfortable, maybe they should ask themselves why." Watching from her hotel room, Emma hadn't expected such direct support, but she wasn't backing down. The spark had been lit, and she was ready to turn it into something lasting. She met with advocacy groups, listened to veterans with PTSD, grieving families, and active duty soldiers too afraid to speak. "People listen to you," a young Marine told her. "Use that voice." And she did, securing support and funding for mental health and veteran services with Trump's quiet backing. Her speech became a national conversation, analyzed in college courses, cited by officers, and remembered by soldiers. Some called it pivotal, others called it political noise. But Emma didn't care about headlines. She cared that someone finally saw the unseen. A retired general dismissed her as just talk, but Emma told Trump, "I spoke to inspire, not replace action." "Let them talk," he replied. "History remembers those who take a stand." And they were. Emails poured in from service members. "You said what we couldn't." Before leaving D.C., Emma met Trump one last time. "You did something big, Captain. Bigger than you realize." She shook her head. "I just told the truth." He smiled. "That's why it mattered." She then visited Arlington, knelt by Jake's grave, and whispered, "I spoke for you," and they listened. The wind stirred softly, and for the first time in years, the weight she carried felt lighter. Months later, Emma stood before a group of Navy recruits. "One day, you'll carry the weight of leadership," she told them. "And when you do, stand tall. Speak up. Because leadership isn't about power. It's about standing when it matters most." Jake's words echoed in her mind. "If you ever get a chance to speak for those who can't, do it." She smiled. Mission accomplished.